Hi everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having a great day. Happy Saturday to you. We're just going to cover a quick couple of coins here today, see kind of what's going on. I got a lot of requests, so I try to cover my requests on the weekends, specifically Litecoin getting the most amount of attention here recently. Thank you so much for the awesome feedback to anybody who commented, liked, subscribed, and followed yesterday. Really, really appreciate that. And of course, welcome aboard to some of our new trading members here. We do have a few new members on board, so thanks again so much for joining. Hope you can continue to find benefit with some of those trade signals and more important, Trading University if you're curious. Link down below, cryptocash.tech is a site. Let's go ahead and quickly look here at Litecoin, 7-day look back for liquidation. And this is kind of just telling us here that we are starting to see a little bit more shorts in the market, but some longs getting kind of demolished here in the low $100 range. And as I mentioned before, we want to wait for that $100 crossover, so to speak, before we consider taking a trade. I have an alert set for, I think, 101, if I'm not mistaken. We're getting close. So it's not to say that you're just going to get demolished if you take a long position right now. These are likely high leveraged long positions, okay? They're getting in there, trying to catch that bottom and essentially hope the price bounces. But again, we don't take TA or we don't take trades based on hope. We do good TA and we understand the big picture, make sure that we're on the right track before we take a trade, right? So, having said that, a lot of liquidation here at about that low $100 mark. It shows there's a lot of interest at the $100. Again, psychologically, $100 is a support level in most cases and or resistance. Any large number, round number is going to be like that. So you just got to be mindful. That's pretty much how that works. Having said all that, we got lower liquidation levels between 85 and 90, but generally speaking, $100 should act as a support, and we'll talk about that here in a minute as to why. We're going to update our fibs here really quick and just kind of double check now that we're on the downside, kind of see where this could end up heading next, okay? So when we take a look at larger time frames, what we want to look at is a few key factors. First of all, I mentioned yesterday we have a resistance level here from most recent candlestick closures. This is what back in July of last year. It's not really all that recent, but you'd be surprised those levels do have a tendency of providing strong resistances or support levels depending on the direction you're heading. So in this case, that's a previous resistance at 113, 114 round number. We got up to 110.5. So there's a great chance that we saw that rejection mainly because this area is a point of contention. We can see a lot of resistance in this range here, and that getting over that level is going to be a challenge. Or we just need to make sure we have more volume going into it, right? Because again, volume kind of dried up and the price was overextended. Makes perfect sense. However, having said all that, if we look at MACD, we can confirm we are converging quite nicely here. We can also see that we are rejecting off 70 on the RSI. I mentioned this yesterday being a potential reality. Money flow index is still high, so I'm a little surprised it didn't actually break through. But now that it hasn't and it's pulling back, but money flow index remains high, that leads me to believe we're not going to see that dramatic of a pullback. Okay, again, this is just natural rejection considering how high the price went up in a short amount of time. Okay, so let's pay attention to a few things here. We want to look at this too. We'll just go ahead and draw this out. For future reference, that is a most recent high at about 104. So that could be the new resistance depending on how we look at the charts, but stochastic is trying to swing down now. It makes sense the price is pulling back. 4-hour time frame. Let's double check a couple of things. First of all, volume is tapering off. Money flow index starting to kind of subside, same with the RSI. These are all normal signs, okay? This isn't necessarily bearish, it just implies it's a natural correction. It becomes bearish if we lose 50 on the RSI. That's me personally. I have a firm belief in levels on the RSI, 30, 50, and 70. They're all very strong support and resistances until they're broken. We're gonna have to presume that 50 is gonna work as a support level as the price pulls back. What does that mean for us here on the charts? Well, if we take a look at the charts, we can kind of see there's some different levels coming up here. We do have 90, 97. We can round up and say $98 is the next key level support. So minus the psychological support at 100, we can see 98 is a more recent resistance level where the price action had a lot of difficulty getting past that level, rejected when it should have broken out. Okay. Now that we've broken through that level, we can presume if it comes back down, it's a likely bouncing point. Okay, so I'd say $98 seems more likely of a support, especially if you take that in conjunction with the RSI, letting us know if it keeps pulling back, we'll get that bounce off that range. Same thing here as well. MACD is diverging, but it hasn't fully diverged yet. So careful, shorting into this, so to speak, because it can be kind of a false positive in a lot of ways. So I know a lot of folks kind of put a lot of weight into that. Me personally, I do like the MACD divergence or convergence. Kind of lets us know when to get in and when to get out, but right now at this point it's still a little premature, but we do end up breaking below that. I would say $98 would be a pretty solid bouncing point. Again, it would be not only a good bouncing point, but we have this ascending trend line too, this held up very strong for consistent higher lows. So we have to presume that this pattern is going to continue until it doesn't. So hypothetically, if you take a long, just say between $98 and $100, you still have a statistically larger probability of maintaining that trend line and higher level of success than you would to try to short the coin to the downside past that level. Once again, if it breaks that level and retests, a lot of times what it'll do, it'll come down here and it'll inevitably break through. It'll come up to retest this recent trend line and then do a bearish back test. So that's the case in point where you might want to consider shorting. We want to run that concurrent with the cloud too on the Ichimoku, which is on the hourly. And if you can kind of see here, if we continue on this trend, we come down as low as this level here, it may not even be a good entry at 98 because we'll be below the cloud naturally, and we're going to have that shift in momentum. Okay? So we are coming up on it. Keep in mind too, right now, our lagging span is free and clear of the price action to the downside, implying that a short position is viable. We have a conversion line below the baseline. That's also a shift in momentum. Then we have this guy here as well, where the cloud has yet to hold. Okay, so hypothetically, we break below the cloud, it may actually be more advantageous to consider a short at that point. Okay, we want to look at the price action and confirm everything before we take a short blindly. So I'm not recommending you just take a short if we break below that level. I'm saying if we consolidate and close below that level for at least 4 to 8 hours, then, and if other contributing factors in the 4-hour time frame are present, then we might consider a short. In other words, we're going to be looking for a MACD divergence. We're going to be looking to break below 50 in the RSI. All those supporting factors are still present, implying that taking a short position is still risky. Okay. So again, if you're the kind of person that likes to risk it, low leverage, low position size, I highly recommend that, just so you can kind of survive the ebbs and flows as the price ends up recovering quickly. You just got to keep in mind though, Bitcoin is slightly on the retracement here so far today. And ever since Bitcoin started pulling back, Litecoin's pulling back a little heavier. It did look like Litecoin wanted to bounce off this fib level at 102. But again, if you look at Bitcoin, the price action for Bitcoin is starting to pull back in the last 4 hours. We can see a similar scenario here as well with Litecoin. So that's kind of where we're at there. It does look like the price is more likely to continue lower to that 98 to 100 range. But again, I think it's probably best to wait and be patient. So that's just kind of where I'm at. Where are you at? Comment below, let us know. Like, subscribe, follow if you haven't already. Make sure you trade Bitunix, phenomenal exchange. Highly recommended. They trade or provide really good opportunities for benefits if you use my link to register. But more important too, if you use the link you can get, there's no KYC or VPN required for this exchange. Really good leverage trading and just awesome exchange in general. So thank you Bitunix for the opportunity for our members. And thank you too for watching. Deeply appreciate it. And we'll look forward to seeing you in the next one. Have a good rest of your day. Take care.